Welcome to the Suburbs with Andy and Greg. Did you ever get spanked?
Yes.
Did you?
Oh,
Andy
yeah.
Simons got spanked.
Hanging in the kitchen was the Board of Education.
Oh. And was that a big spoon or what?
No, it was a paddle.
Oh, it was?
It was a paddle.
Oh.
And the infamous words, "Wait till your father gets home."
Oh.
And
Did she
there
stir
wasn't a-
soup with the paddle?
No.
Why was it in the kitchen?
It was just hanging as a
The
threat.
intimidator.
As a threat.
Oh, my gosh.
It was.
Were you guys just that unruly?
No, I don't. I can't remember how many times we were paddled, but it just was there as a deterrent. I
Some
think.
people have the giant spoon and fork.
This is
you
just
guys had a paddle.
This is just like a fraternity paddle.
Yes.
It
right.
was. It really was.
Yeah, my mom had a sorority paddle
Yeah.
she used.
And I don't think it was my dad's fraternity paddle, but it was the Board of Education.
Unbelievable.
And I'm sure it got used. I think the threat of "wait till your father gets home," the corporal punishment was apparently on his radar.
Yeah.
And just the idea of waiting and waiting and waiting.
And pre cell phone too. So it's not like she can call and say, "I got him."
I think I got paddled in grade school once.
Really?
Yeah, I think I got paddled one time. I couldn't tell you what for,
Really?
but it was like just one shot.
Oh.
For sure, it was grade school, and I just remember being down in the office and hold your ankles, whack.
Oh.
Okay, back to class.
My friend Mark White got paddled every week. I mean, every week. He's like either into the coat closet. They broke the paddle on him one time. 4th grade. You could hear, whack. I mean, you could hear the whole thing going on because it was one of those coat closets that wasn't really a closet. It was one of those things on rollers.
Oh, right.
And so it was just back there where everybody's hook and coat was and storage. And all of a sudden you could hear the board hit the floor. And she had borrowed some other teacher's board and broke it on him and then had to carry the 2 pieces back to that other classroom. Can you imagine the horror that the other people felt? Like those other kids, and they're like, wow, I'm glad I don't have her.
Taking it to woodshop to be repaired.
Right.
Yeah, we need to fix this thing.
Anybody got a screw?
Yeah.
So Mark got paddled every week. He was the kid that was so smart he didn't have to study for anything and he'd get A's. And so his challenge was, how can I get paddled? And I kind of would like give him fun ideas on what he could do because we were best friends. So when we were in the 7th grade, we had a class that was split and you did lunch and then you came back and picked up the second half of the class.
Huh.
And we made it back to class before the teacher did, and it had been snowing all day. So he opened up the window and decided now was a good time for a snowball fight.
Uh-oh.
And so just starts lobbing snowballs at everybody in class.
In the building. In
In
the
class.
classroom.
Yes,
Nice.
in class. And teacher isn't there yet, and people are running everywhere. And I don't remember where. I know I wasn't running from. I might have been running to make a snowball. I wasn't running from them. But what I ran into was a girl pointing at me, and her finger rammed right up my nose.
Ouch.
Like right up my nose, to my brain, and blood is going everywhere.
Lobotomy.
Probably why I am who I am today. And
we can trace it
just
straight back.
all the way back, that's gray matter.
Ouch.
Nothing else. And so it's a full-blown gusher. And of all the days for my mom to come into school to pay a late fee, that was the day. And I'm sitting there with blood all over my shirt.
Bleeding
blood all
out
over
in
my
the classroom.
face. I'm bleeding out, and my mom's there to pay late fee.
What grade was this?
7th.
7th grade.
No paddling, no nothing. Wasn't in a fight. Girl's fingernail rammed up my nose.
Tell it to the judge. Likely story.
Yeah, right.
I pull the other leg.
Other than the bloody nose incident, I think I was pretty good until I became a fan of the Indy 500 and decided that going to the track was more important than going to school, and would go every May. My junior and senior year, I would skip school and go to the track.
Somebody was telling me the story, and it might have been you that was skipping school at the track and ran into their teachers.
No,
Yeah.
that wasn't me.
Okay. They were called in sick or something, and they're at the track, and their teachers also at the track, also playing hooky. Thought you were sick.
Sick of being in class. I want to go watch Rick Mears, but I was out there all day, and so then I came home, and my mom wanted to know why I was so sunburned, and I said, gym class.
And she bought it.
I don't know whether she bought it or not, but I had a good voice for like, oh, this is Leroy Phelps. Greg is sick today and won't be coming into school.
This is a Ferris Bueller's day off.
It was at the track. So were you out there when Steven Tyler sang the national anthem?
I was not.
You weren't. But Steven Tyler, that was, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and be wrong, but I'm going to say that was that like 2002, 2003, 2004, running there?
It was more in that era than in the 80s or 90s. That's
Made
for sure.
national news.
Yeah.
They didn't like how he sang.
No.
They thought he just defiled it.
Butchered it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't remember it.
I was into it. I thought it was good. I mean, I like the way he sings, though.
Yeah.
But you've worked with him.
I have worked with him. I have.
And how was he to work with?
He was full of energy.
So what era was this?
This would have been mid-'80s.
Oh, okay.
Sort of in the comeback era.
Okay.
Which would have been the Dude Looks Like a Lady era.
Yeah.
The revival era.
Yeah.
And so they were in town. What they did was they'd come to a region and they'd set up camp at a hotel for maybe a week or 10 days. Then they would bus to all the regional shows.
Oh, okay.
So they'd come to Indianapolis. They'd live in a hotel for 10 days, and then they would go to Louisville. They would go to Cincinnati. They would go to Terre Haute. They would go to Fort Wayne.
They played in Terre Haute.
And
Who is that agent?
I don't know. But Terre Haute, Aerosmith. And so so they didn't have to live in airplanes and buses. They would just try to be a little more, a little more grounded.
Dad-like.
Regionally. Just something that just not to just be like just
I can't imagine
the grind of the tour on the road, just on buses,
So there was more normalcy.
Yeah, just so you'd kind of set up shop. You'd have the same bed you'd sleep in for 10 days.
Yeah.
So that was kind of something that they were doing. So they happened to be here on Thanksgiving, probably 85-ish, and they had recorded a Westwood Run radio network special and it needed to get mixed.
Okay.
So they flew in their engineer from California and the tapes, and the band was involved in the mixing process. They were hanging out. I mean, and Steven Tyler was at the studio every day. Joe Perry stopped in. Some people more interested than others, but because they were just in town.
Yeah.
And but so their whole thing was, we're all clean and sober, but he enjoyed snuff. That was his. It was his
snuff.
That was his.
The horse
vice.
Was parked out back, and he's got the 6-shooter strapped to the side.
So he's doing snuff. It's
what?
Like pure nicotine, So, but it wasn't. It was. It wasn't not an illegal drug, and he wasn't drinking.
Cappuccino.
Yeah.
Cappuccino and snuff.
Yeah.
Like.
So that was his thing. So anyway. Which I thought was unusual, but
you think
you got to have something.
I guess
Got to put something in your body that
perhaps.
I guess is
more than a finger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, they had this live show to mix, and typically when Steven sings "Dream On" live, it's laced with profanity.
Oh, really?
Just as he's ad-libbing, and so he's so they're getting ready to mix "Dream On," and it's early. I mean, it's maybe 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. And they said, okay, well, we can't keep this vocal. We've got to recut the vocal. And they said, okay. So they sent him out in the studio, set up a mic, same mic that he uses, and Cape rolled.
His own mic.
No, we just had the same mic that they use on stage.
Oh,
So
I gotcha.
it would sound like the rest of the vocals that were recorded. And
Okay.
goes out there, slaps on a pair of headphones, and just one take, peels off Dream On, no problem.
I don't even know. My voice wants to, when I'm singing that in the car, I can't get to that part. There's so much of that you can't get to.
Yeah. He's done it so many times. And he comes in, he goes, okay, that'll do. Good enough. And
wow.
It just kills. So it was like kind of surrealistic to be looking through the glass, seeing this happening.
Yes.
This is before the days with cell phones.
Right.
So there's no pictures. Just mental.
Right. Yeah, let me go get my Instamatic and I'll
my Polaroid.
Right.
My magic cube.
Right.
Click, click.
What's that flashing?
Yeah. Just
strobe light.
That was kind of the highlight of that session, was watching him cut that song. And
so I've got a Steven Tyler story as
do
well.
tell.
All right. So my fishing friend and I, he had a Mach 1, 351 with a Holly 4-barrel, all chromed out. I don't know how, I knew what I did for summer jobs. I don't know how he could afford it, but it was like a restored 1971 Mach 1.
Those are badass.
It was red, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wasn't a muscle car guy, but I knew muscle car guys in the neighborhood, and they're like, oh, chirps them. Okay, I don't even know what that means. And so, the Holly 4-barrel, I know what a carburetor is. I kind of know what it does, but, I'm not, when people go, it's a Holly 4-barrel, ooh, it means nothing to me.
You're such a neophyte.
He had a cassette player, and the only cassette he had in there was Get Your Wings, Aerosmith.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a guy that had an El Camino, and so there's all this chatter at school. Oh, the dude, like I'm trying to think of a movie that it would be similar to, where one camp says, oh, this Mach 1 is the fastest car in school, and the other camp is like, that El Camino is the fastest car in school. And so they secretly wanted to race each other.
American Graffiti.
Is that it?
Well, could be.
I don't know.
They had race cars. Or
Did
racing
they?
cars. Oh, yeah.
Street cars that they raced.
Oh, yeah.
And we're coming home from school, and one of the songs from Get Your Wings is playing, because that's the only tape he's got. And so it just was on replay all the time. And so we're on this road that's a 2-lane road that's near the river. So did they do that in American Graffiti? Race near the river?
I don't think they're in the river.
Not in the river? We weren't in the river.
Or near the river, even.
Okay. So, we had waders on. Waders on, driving the Mach 1. We're going to go cast nets. No. So anyway, we're driving home from school, and all of a sudden, here's the El Camino next to us. If this was really American Graffiti, there'd be some hot girl standing in the middle of the street
with a bandana.
Yeah, dropping the bandana.
Right.
But, unfortunately, that didn't happen. But they both gave each other the nod, and the race was on.
And so you're a passenger?
I was a passenger in the Mach 1. And nobody was a passenger, just this guy named Pat in the El Camino. And we are both racing at speeds on River Road. And as we go around the bend, coming head on at us is a police car. And
oops.
Yeah. Should have thought this through. And so and that street had no real reason to have a stoplight or a stop sign on it. So it was a good drag strip. I'd never raced. I like to go to the track and watch that kind of thing, but you could be killed doing that. So sure. I'd rather watch other
Not
people.
As a passenger.
Yeah, not even as a passenger. I would just like to be a spectator. I don't want to be in a situation where you could be flipped and tumbling and dead. Your head's left back there. They're piecing you together, chalk outline. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. I'd rather just watch
Better
that.
get a body bag.
Oh, yeah, right. So somebody's got to blink because there's a police car coming at us. And we happen to be in the lane where we're not head on, and Pat is in the lane where he's going to head on crash into the police officer. So we go flying past the scene as Pat stops to get pulled over. And the police officer decides he needs to follow us instead. Well, almost ahead of time, about not even a half a block, is a street with a stoplight, and we've got to do something. So he hangs a right and continues to decide to run. And we go over this bridge over the river, and then the next stoplight, hang a right, go back into another neighborhood. We're still rocking out to Aerosmith.
As this is all happening.
As you're
being chased?
We're being chased by the police. And so he goes through some neighborhoods, left, a right, a left, a right. We come out on another busy street, hang a right, go down a few blocks, hang a left at a stoplight, lose the guy. And we make our way back to my house. I pack clothes. This is on a Friday. I pack clothes and throw them in the car. He goes to his house. He packs clothes, throw them in the car. We drive 2.5 hours to the lake where my mom is now living and hide out for a weekend.
They'll never find us here. Hey, copper. Trying to catch us now, copper.
We had nothing in the car, no reason to be arrested, other than the fact that we ran from the police. We have no real reason to, there could have been at other times plenty of reasons to arrest us. But that time...
They frown upon that.
Running from the police?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you meant the stuff that we would have had in the car.
Well, that too.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So we did. We hung out at the lake, and it was cold and wintry, and it wasn't a great time to be at the lake, but it ended up being a great time.
You go out in the car and sit there and listen to Aerosmith.
Actually, you know what we did? We went to the store to buy a new Aerosmith. We're like, okay, I love this album, but can we get a new one at least? And he was one of those guys that he's like, I got to know it if I'm going to buy it. Okay, but all you know is this one. This is like playing over and over. And he wouldn't turn on the radio. And so we go into, and it is small town USA. And they have I don't even know what the department store would have been.
A Woolworths.
It couldn't have been that. It might have been a Kmart. And so we look, and I think Get Your Rocks, maybe.
Rocks.
Yeah. Yeah, as opposed to Get Your Wings.
Yeah.
They were all Get Your Something, weren't they? Get your name here. Get your ticket.
Get your ticket.
That's what it should have been.
So yeah, he goes a cassette probably, right?
Yeah, it was a cassette.
Yeah, okay,
yeah, not an 8-track.
Ooh, check it out, new cassette.
Yeah, new cassette. We played it, and he goes, "I don't like this one as well as the other one."
Oh.
And we went back to the Kmart, and he returned it.
I don't like
what
this.
Reason for returning this? It's not like Get Your Wings.
It's not Get Your Wings. It's not a sequel. Hi, this is Andy. If you enjoyed listening to our podcast, please be sure to like and subscribe. Remember, laughter's contagious. Help us spread it by telling a friend.